G'day guys, thanks for joining us today. I think we might kick off. It's a little bit past 10 now. My name's Jai. For those of you who haven't met me before, I haven't spoken to, I'm the FAE and trainer for BenQ Australia. And it's my pleasure today to walk you through our new Smart Projector range, and we'll be taking a look specifically at the work-life balance, which is more important now than ever with the whole global pandemic going on. It's a good opportunity to sort of focus on what technology can help you sort of incorporating both your work and life and how you can sort of manage that outside the office space as well. So we'll be taking a good look at a few different things. Here's the agenda for the day. We'll be taking a quick look at smart device technology trends and then the traditional projector versus smart projector and what the difference is there. And then we'll be having a look at Smart Projector for meetings. We'll be going through a few of the features and the apps and interface as well there. And then we'll be taking a look at different scenarios really quickly. And finally, we'll be having a look at a demo. So we'll swap over to Dan's camera. Dan's helping me out today, and we're taking a look at some hardware and apps for business, and also the entertainment, the home entertainment side of things as well. And finally, we'll finish up with Q&A. We do have a couple of people from our head office in Taiwan joining us today. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us. I'll give Paul a chance to speak a little bit later on in the presentation and just give you an idea of what we're currently working on there. And he'll also be able to help out with any questions that may arise. But let's get into it. So let's have a look at the Internet of Things and sort of how we've progressed with smart technology over the last couple of decades here. So we sort of started off with the smart mobile phone around the mid-2000s to late 2000s there. And along that time, we came up with smart portable projectors too, so little display devices there as well. Then heading into sort of the 2010s, as you all know, we developed smart TV technology, and this is common across all households now as well. And then sort of around 2015, 2014, we, as a world, developed smartwatches, and every man and his dog has a smartwatch now. And so we've seen this progression of smart technology over the past 20 years or so. And now, obviously, from a BenQ point of view, we've developed smart signage and smart displays for our business-to-business side of things. And now we've incorporated Smart Projector. So it's just a natural progression there from sort of consumer-based technology through to business-based technology now. But let's have a look at a quick overview of sort of traditional wireless projectors versus wireless smart projectors and what the difference is. And starting with user interface. Obviously now we're incorporating proper operating systems into these projectors. And at BenQ, it's no different. We've developed an Android-based interface there as well, and we'll go through that later on in the presentation. As far as additional software requirements, obviously we still had those with traditional wireless projectors and having firmware upgrades and that kind of thing as well. But now we can sort of manage that over the air as well. And we also incorporate wireless technology, so incorporating casting from your own devices, and we incorporate technology like AirPlay and Google Cast to do that as well. And then with device support, obviously we incorporate all those devices that you may have. So even though it's an Android-based system, you can connect your own devices, and regardless of the operating systems that they utilize there as well. I also mentioned over-the-air updates previously, and that's no different here as well. Traditional projectors require you to do that update manually rather than it being over an internet connection. And just like any of our smart devices, we can install apps there, and obviously on traditional projectors we can't. We have mobile remote control, USB direct reading. Depending on your previous traditional projector, that was limited to certain formats there, but now there's a wide array of formats that our wireless projectors and smart projectors can read. Video conferencing, we'll talk about that later on as well. We'll be using Zoom on our projector with a USB web camera. We'll show you how you can achieve that, obviously. And then setting up the projector is really easy because we just follow along simple setup instructions, just like you would do with your own mobile phone there. Let's move along. So why smart in current business? And the big reason for this is that our meeting hours have changed. Obviously, right now, a lot of people are working from home because they don't have a choice. But even prior to this global pandemic, we've been seeing this change of people not always being in the office, either working remotely or working out in the field, and we need to find a way to kind of manage that and adapt to that changing trend. So designed for meetings and home office, and this is where our smart projector comes into play. So as previously mentioned, we have an embedded system and we can incorporate business apps into that. It's wireless as well, so it's an easy solution to set up and get running with your meetings. You can cast from not only your mobile devices, but your tablets and your computers as well. We have built-in USB reader functionality, and our smart projector range covers a lumen range of 3300 to 3600 there. And there's two different series. So there's the E600, which is our standard throw, and there's an E800 series, which is our short throw model. Now let's talk about sort of the main features here of smart projectors. So the first idea is to have it PC-less. So no longer do we need to bring our main device, our computer, with us into the meeting space. We can control the projector via an app remote that we can download from the App Store, either Google Play or the iOS store. We can just bring a USB drive in with us and plug it directly into the projector to read all our documents, and that's accessible through the app there that you can see, known as WPS. And then we have a bunch of apps that we support within our own BenQ Suggest store. And a lot of you who are familiar with our IFP range will be familiar with DMS, which allows us to control our devices remotely from an IT point of view. AMS, which allows us to log in with our own profile and access our own settings and also our cloud storage. And obviously Xline Broadcast, which allows us to send messages either scheduled or instantly through to our own devices. And all three of these BenQ services are available on our smart projector range, depending on the model. And then app enablement as well. So once again, we've carried over our partnerships with leading brands, leading app management brands, like Blizz, which is pre-installed, TeamViewer here for remote access, and also Firefox as our preferred browser as well. And then heading down the page here, we're talking about driverless projection or non-software based projection. And we're able to do this via commonly used protocols in our normal day-to-day lives, like AirPlay and like Google Cast as well. And that enables us to cast directly from a wide array of devices, such as Windows, Mac OS, iOS, or Android devices. And then lastly, it's a wireless solution. So Bluetooth and Wi-Fi built in via the wireless adapter, and we'll show you that. That's actually included with the projector when you purchase it. And we utilize over-the-air updates, obviously, like I mentioned previously. So there's no need for you to manually install those updates anymore as well. Let's move on to a little bit more about wireless casting. So once again, we've tried to make it as easy as possible for people to mirror from their own devices. And we can do that via AirPlay and via Chromecast. And so you can just use that screen mirroring option on your iPhone or iPad, for instance, to do that. Or if you're on an Android device or a Windows PC, you can simply use the Google Chromecast feature there as well to cast directly from those devices. And like I mentioned earlier, we have wireless connectivity and Bluetooth connectivity as well. I also mentioned this briefly. So we have a BenQ Smart Control app that you can download on the Google Play Store or the iOS store as well. And this allows you to remotely control your computer straight from your own personal device there. You can see sort of the basic features there. So all the commonly used buttons that we would expect on a remote control are there on the app. And we also have a built-in trackpad as well, so you can navigate with your cursor if you're using the browser or a like app. One thing I'll mention too is that this is a free app, so there's actually no cost involved to download this. And it's easy to set up and get running as well. The projector does come with a traditional remote though, also, if you prefer to use that. And let's have a look at the USB reader, and we'll show you how this works a little bit later on, but we can read commonly used documents. So that whole entire Office suite of documents, multimedia files, and obviously can read APKs to sideload different applications on there as well. And then we'll have a whole bunch of different apps that are already pre-installed there that are sort of carried over from our IFP range. So if you're familiar with our interactive flat panels, what we've tried to do there is try and jam pack the smart projector with as many of those features and those applications as we can to build value there as well. So, new interface with the smart system. Recently, we had a bit of a change between a bit of a difference in interface between our E600 and our E800 range. They've now been uniform, so it's the same interface no matter what projector model you end up using. And this is sort of an overview of that interface here. So really clean and easy to use interface. You can see the previous interface here. So it's now changed from this big icon picture here to the one you see in the main screen there. It's easy to organize, and we'll go through sort of the settings and the different applications there as well. And then we can do things like Keystone, and it has a nice blended interface there, which is really easy to navigate. We also have app shortcuts, so similar to what we have on our IFP panels, we're able to customize an app bar there for commonly used apps. And let's have a look at some of the apps that are currently pre-installed on the Smart Projector range. So we've continued our partnership with Blizz, and that's pre-installed. So for those who aren't familiar with Blizz, it's an app that's made by TeamViewer, and we obviously have a partnership with those guys too. But you can sideload your own video conferencing solutions on there. And for instance, we're using Zoom on our Smart Projector today. But Blizz is pre-installed, ready to go. All you need to do is plug in a USB web camera, and you'll utilize the video from that, and obviously the microphone from that web camera as well to get up and running with your video conferencing. TeamViewer app is built in, so if your IT administrators need to remotely access that projector, they're able to do that as well. You can download Firefox for your browsing needs, and obviously WPS, which we use to open our commonly used documents there too. I'll talk briefly sort of about our own BenQ apps here as well. So Xline Broadcast continues to be available not only on our IFPs, but now on our Smart Projector range as well. And this is currently available on both series now. So the E600 and the E800 series. So we can wirelessly broadcast messages to those projectors now along with our IFPs. And it's all done via the same interface and portal that we use currently for our panels. Our account management system. So I mentioned this previously as well. We can log in with our own profile. You can see down in the bottom left-hand corner of the main screen here, Cindy's logged into this one. And she has a customized app bar there, obviously, customized settings as well. But she can also access her cloud storage directly there as well. And later on, I'll share my projector screen, and you can see exactly how that works. And then lastly, our device management solution. So IT professionals or your IT administrators will be able to manage these devices remotely as well. So let's talk about the meeting space and how meetings are now uncluttered. So before the meeting, we're saving on setup time. We don't have to worry about our devices connecting properly to a projector or to a screen. Really simple to set up and get running. There's no need for you to even bring your PC anymore. You can do it all via your own personalized devices, like your tablets and like your mobile phones, or bringing in a USB stick. So we don't need any cables or remotes anymore. During the meeting, it's easy to use and it has reliable performance. So it's easy to share contents wirelessly via our casting protocols there. And obviously the different apps and the different partners we've aligned ourselves with for software application there as well. And the interface is really easy to navigate. If you've ever used a smart device before, you'll be able to use one of these projectors for sure straight away. Then after the meeting, we're saving in on maintenance costs here. So obviously over the air updates save on time and money as well. And we're able to control these devices via DMS, which is our own solution there. And there's no charge for that. That's a free service too. And then finally, let's have a look at a few different scenarios here. So when we're talking about efficiency within the workplace with our smart projectors, so like I mentioned before, it's easy to start meetings. You simply turn the projector on and it's ready to go essentially after that initial setup. So you're not wasting any time trying to get your devices to link up to that or to try and to display your content. And then we have a few different business apps there ready to go as well, like our WPS program, which opens those Office documents that are commonly used, and Blizz is pre-installed. So if you need the video conference, you can do that straight away as well. And then we can show what we have instantly via casting with our own devices, obviously, or plugging in a USB drive, which is really easy to use. If people aren't comfortable with casting to other devices, I know a lot of people are a little bit wary of technology, or they're not that confident with technology, they can still rely on that USB connectivity to see them through in the meeting space. And then if we swap over from the meeting space to the home office space as such, so we have short throw projectors, obviously, for that limited range, but you can connect a mouse and keyboard, which is what we've done to our Smart Projector today as well, and we'll show you that soon. And so it's a great home solution too, not only for the home office, but also from the home office to home entertainment too. So we've tested a few different apps in here just recently, like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video and that kind of thing, and they work natively on the projector itself, just installing via APK. So you can go from 1 minute using it for your meeting space within your home office to using it as an entertainment projector and casting those and streaming those services that we're used to there on a regular smart TV. So it's a great product to really combine those two kind of scenarios, both for work, but for that home living and home entertainment scenario as well. And we'll show you sort of how easy it is to access those apps directly on one of our projectors here too. So that's it for my PowerPoint slide. I didn't really want to go too long on that. That's a really quick overview of sort of what these smart projectors are capable of. But we might jump into a demo in a minute. But I might just give Paul, if you're there, mate, if you've got anything to add to sort of what we've spoken about there, please feel free to go ahead now.
Okay. Thanks for the webinar. It's been great. So good to talk to you. So basically, I'm Paul. I'm in charge of product solutions and customer care here at BenQ Asia Pacific. So that's why you can see here, our Smart Projector is only one of our many really cool products that we'll roll out this year. So as you can see there, we have a lot more really interesting stuff coming out this year. So please do stick around with us, and hopefully you guys enjoy the webinar presented by Jai. Jai, he's a really nice guy. He's one of the nicest person I've ever met. So it's always a pleasure to have Jai here with us. Any questions you have, do feel free to let me know during the webinar. Again, thanks for joining. So wash your hands and avoid crowded places. And otherwise, I'll hand it over back to Jai.
Thank you so much, Paul. You're too nice, mate. And thank you for joining. Paul is my contact in Taiwan primarily. So if you guys ever ask me any questions and I say I'll get back to you, usually I'm contacting Paul to try and find out the answer. But I appreciate you joining, Paul, and thank you for the kind words again. You guys should all be able to see the projector screen now, the Smart Projector screen there. I'm sharing that currently. And so I'm just going to run through the interface. If you can't see it, please just let us know in the chat there. All good? Beautiful. So let's have a quick look at an overview of the interface here. We sort of saw this in the PowerPoint presentation, but I'm just going to jump in and run through it really quickly here. So first of all, you can see we sort of have three main icons along the center of the screen here. If I jump into the recently used, I can see commonly used apps that I've sort of been using previously, and it allows me to sort of jump in and pick up where I left off there, which is really easy as well. And then next to that, we have wireless projection. So this is a great sort of tutorial-based little application that we have here. And so for those people, like I mentioned before, that are a little bit wary of technology or not that confident, this allows them to simply select this icon, and then it gives them a run through of how the connected devices just by selecting one of these three icons at the bottom here. So not only is it easy to set up if you know what you're doing or have used smart technology before, it's really easy to get up and going if you aren't familiar with it all that much or you're not confident. And so we can just select on one of these icons here. I'll choose iPhone, for instance, and then it's just going to show me how I can select and connect my phone there, which is really simple too. I'll just go back to the home screen here. So this is a really great tutorial guide here. And then there's recommended function. We just have that link to AMS currently as well. So I can jump into my file structure really quickly. I'll go back into AMS now, actually. Let me just go back to my home screen. You'll see down in the bottom left corner, I've actually already joined here. You can see my name there. So I've logged in with my profile, and this is just like our IFP, for instance, with our AMS service active here. But what that allows me to do is that if I jump into our file manager, our AMS file manager here, you can see that I can see a USB drive that's connected here and my local internal storage. but I can also connect to my cloud drives here as well. So just like in our IFP range, without me having to manually sign into each of those cloud drives or those portals, it's already connected. And I can just click on one of these storage drives, these cloud storage drives, and access my files directly on the projector. So it's really handy. We spoke about it being a PC-less environment as such, and AMS really allows us to do that. Not only do we not have to bring our phone or our tablet, we don't have to bring a USB drive because it's all stored there on the cloud, easily accessible from the projector itself. So all we need to do is show up and we're good to present. And we can open any of those files with those built-in apps like WPS that you can see on the desktop here as well. We might talk about a little bit more about the interface, and then we'll dive into some apps. So obviously the shortcut bar here along the base of those tutorial guides. Things like BenQ suggests where we have our partnered apps and technically supported apps live within here that we can download. But I've sideloaded a couple of different apps here like Amazon Prime Video and Netflix, and they work really well on the Smart Projector as well. And obviously we have that partnership with Firefox, and we're currently using Zoom on this projector. And that's how I'm actually able to share the projector screen with you right now. We sideloaded Zoom in, we have a web camera attached that will show you when we're doing our demo of the physical hardware, and you'll be able to see how that works essentially. Once again, you'll be familiar with this toolbar down the base of your screen there. If you can't see it in your Zoom bars there, just click on the screen to make that your bottom bar disappear. But we can connect to different sources. So if I click on this one, you can see there that I can go straight into the USB drive or connect via HDMI or the VGA cable there as well. Next door to that, we have our apps. That's where our apps live here. As well. So WP Office, obviously, you can see this is how we set up our broadcast. And then we have a couple of different apps that I've sideloaded there as well, just like on our IFPs. And then our settings bar. I'll go into this really quickly just so you can see an overview of the settings. I won't go into this into any real depth, but you can see there we've got a wide range of options, including being able to keystone that depending on our installation, and also just customizing like sound and screen set kind of thing as well, which makes it really easy to navigate and customize and use. All right. Sorry, guys. All right. I'll just go back to our home screen really quickly now. And that gives you a basic overview. Carried on from our IFP, we do have the side arrows. You can see the side left and right here. And they just give us our shortcut menu once again. So similar to our IFPs, we can go back using the back button, the home screen. We can open up the app shortcut manager here as well. So if I click on this, you'll be able to see it brings us into our recently used, which I showed you previously. We can bounce around there as well. And then obviously a shortcut to our source selection here also. But what we might do is jump over to a quick demo of some physical things. So we might have a look at Netflix first and foremost. All right, let's do that. Let me stop sharing here really quickly. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Open up Zoom again. So you should be able to see me open up Zoom here. Might be a bit of inception. All right, I'm just going to stop sharing here. And I'm just going to highlight Dan's camera really quickly.
Myself around.
So you guys should be able to see Dan's camera now. It should be spotlighted. If you can't, just click on what's yours called? Dan BenQ camera. All right, and you should be able to see that now. So obviously we just got this. This is around an 80-inch screen size that we have at the moment, which is quite large. We've pretty much spotlighted the screen with ceiling lights here. But if we open up Netflix, which I pre-installed here as well, I'm just going to open this back up. So I've obviously logged in with my account previously here. See, I'm a basketball fan, but we might just play a clip here really quickly to show you how this works natively as well. So this will load up. I'm running on a hotspot here, but you can see it works without any real issue here. The Smart Projector does have small speakers built into it as well, so you're able to have sound straight away. It does have audio outputs as well, so you can actually plug in your own speaker system to it or Bluetooth a small portable speaker for better sound quality there. But it's good to go. The quality is really good. This is an EH600 model, which is our full high definition model. So the picture quality is really, really decent for that as well. But we'll leave Netflix there for now. And I might just bounce back to the home screen, Dan. And I might just show you guys casting as well. So I'm just going to cast from my phone really quickly here. So I'll just connect my screen mirroring. So on iOS devices, I'll just go back a step. It's really easy just to swipe down. And because we use AirPlay, we can just hit screen mirroring here. And then obviously our Smart Projector will appear there. And now on our main screen, you can see that it's mirroring my device straight away. I can then go into YouTube, for instance, and I can play a video straight up as well and just start casting that directly to the screen too. Minus the advertisements, obviously, but the casting aspect works really well. All you have to do is make sure you're connected to the same network there, the same Wi-Fi network to cast from that AirPlay protocol, which is really simple as well. But I might pause that for now. And then the last thing we'll do is have a look at some of the physical connectivity here as well, guys. So if we go into the actual Smart Projector, this is the rear of it, obviously. You can see there we have 2 USB ports going from the right-hand side. So we actually have a USB hub plugged in where that black cable is, just here. So we can have more than just 2 USB devices connected. So I've just got a powered USB hub, and we have a keyboard and mouse plugged into that, along with our webcam as well. I'll turn our webcam on the projector really quickly so you can see us. Maybe you don't want to see us, but we'll just turn that on as well. Yeah, and we should appear there. All right. So apart from USB connectivity there, you can see where the BenQ logo is just here. This is actually where our Wi-Fi adapter lives. So it's a little shroud. I'm just going to jump up and slide this across, and that just pops out, and you can see that Wi-Fi adapter. So it's very similar to the Wi-Fi adapter we use on our IFP models as well, and that's included with the Smart Projector when you purchase it. And so that's a dedicated slot there for it, so you can slot it in, and then you can just replace the shroud here straight away, and that'll just click into place. It also has a small screw there that you can screw in to fasten it there as well. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see a little bit more connectivity there with VGA connectivity, RS-232, and obviously those audio ports I mentioned earlier for microphone and speakers as well. So really kind of standard connectivity there, but really simple to set up. There's not a lot of connectivity, and that's why we rely on sort of those wireless protocols to cast, and you don't really need a lot of physical connectivity there because that defeats the purpose of really what the focus of the Smart Projector is. You can see here we have in the foreground here, we have a mouse and keyboard there. We've got a pretty zowie pink mouse there. And they're just connected to that USB hub. And this is obviously the standard remote that comes with the projector as well. And that'll get you by pretty much for all the connectivity that you need. It's a dedicated and specific remote for those projectors, not just a standardized remote. So it has a lot of those features that you'd really get a lot of use out there as well.
So Jai, Sanjay's popped up with a question and saying, can you hide the wireless dongle?
Well, yeah, it's pretty much hidden now, right?
Yep. So
I can't see it.
No, we've got our shroud. It's a little bit hard one-handed. Jai will do that. There we go. So that's off. We plug in. So that's a separate device that comes in the box.
Yeah, just a USB receiver. So it comes with the Smart Projector. It's boxed in the same box as the actual projector, and you just slot that in straight away, slide the shroud over it, and then it just has a little screw in the top of it that you can screw in. So it's
so never ever have to touch that again.
You would never even know it's there. Exactly. Just pop that back in there. So that's straight across.
There we go. All right, I'll stop sharing my screen now. Unless anyone else has any requirement to see anything else about the hardware or anything like that, I can definitely turn it back on if you guys like. But if you want to switch back over to the E600 for our web camera.
Yeah, so this is our web camera now. So you guys should be able to see that. That should be spotlighted for you. So we just have this is just a little Logitech Brio that's plugged into our USB dock there that we're using, a little USB hub. And so you can see the image quality is really good, and that's obviously using Zoom that it's side loaded onto that Smart Projector range. But that's pretty much it as far as the presentation goes. I know we dedicated an hour to this, but an early mark is always good. But if you guys have any questions there, please feel free to either use your microphone or throw them in the chat now, and we'll cover those off as we go along.
So, Joe, we've got one from Pavan. He asked about the HDMI port. Is it an input or an output?
So that's an input, I believe, yes, for that HDMI. So you can plug in your own computer if you wanted to cast manually there to that as well. Yeah.
Sorry, Jay. It's Pavan again. I have a question which I was asking you, Vijay, yesterday.
Yes.
When you signed in with Android, did you sign in with your personal Gmail account, or because I got this question with one of the clients earlier regarding a different Android device?
Yep.
Because they're not comfortable signing in with the personal credentials.
So are you talking about AMS, like when I sign in and have access to the cloud drive?
Absolutely. For the Play Store, if you need access, you need to sign in with Gmail, right? Or some licensing.
No. So how our smart devices work, we don't actually have access to the Google Play Store. So you download, to sideload apps or something like that, you would download APK files and then install those via a USB drive plugged directly into the projector, or you could download them from their website on the projector itself. You shouldn't need to sign in with your Google account or anything like that, unless they're talking about linking cloud storage in that AMS file structure. So I might just go back and share my screen really quickly here, just so I can show you what I'm talking about. If this is going to work. Yes, beautiful. All right. So when we talk about AMS and I can access my cloud storage here, I've previously signed into those accounts in our AMS portal and given that portal permission to access my cloud drives. That's just a one-off thing I can do, and I can also go back in there and unlink those drives. But if you can get some more information about it and let me know specifically, I can try and get a better understanding of what they're talking about there. But as far as logging into this service here, it's just with an account I've created in our own portal with my own password. And so it doesn't rely on any other of those personal accounts to do that. It's an account that I create myself.
So that's still your BenQ.com domain.
Yeah, so this is accessible through a website called iam.benq.com. I might bring that up actually and show you really quickly so it'll make sense. So let me just share my screen here. And I will jump in a browser really quickly, sorry. Let's try this again. Cool. All good? That's showing? Yep. Beautiful. All right. So this is our service portal. You can see there it's redirected to serviceportal.benq.com, but you can type in IAM. So IAM for Identity Access Manager. And they would just need to create an account here. Either an administrator for their workplace or their school would need to create an admin account, and then they would create a user account for that teacher or that colleague. Or if they're the administrator, they would just create an account here. And so like I mentioned before, I'll just go into this really quickly so you can see it. But they create their own account here. So they can use any email address, and they don't even have to use their email address as the account ID. They can just make this up and personalize it themselves. And then they create their own password and enter their own credentials here as well. So they don't have to use any existing accounts except for an email address, and that's it. And the only reason we need an email address is to send them a verification email for this account creation, and also just to give them notices about server maintenance and that kind of thing. So I'm not quite sure what they're talking about as far as Gmail accounts or anything like that. None of that is required to access AMS. The only time you would need to enter a Gmail address is for that, potentially for that Google Drive connectivity.
Or potentially could be within the APK or the app
itself.
itself.
Yeah. So depending on the app, right? So if they're using a Google-driven app, they may need to enter a Google account to log into their profile for that specific app. But that's all I can think of with that. Yeah.
I was in the assumption that it was going through the App Store. So, but all good.
No, yeah, not at all. So with our smart devices like our IFPs and also for our smart projectors, they aren't able to access, and not just our devices, but any of those large format smart devices, they don't have access to the Google Play Store specifically. And the reason for that is that Google only offer technical support for smaller devices, right? Because that's what those apps were initially intended for. And so they don't see large format displays as a true Android or a truly supported device from their point of view. But yeah, that's it. If you can get some more information from them, mate, by all means, shout out to Joy or myself, and we can take it from there and have a deeper look at that.
No
Absolutely.
problem. Thank you.
No worries at all. Is there any other questions there, guys?
While we wait for that, Joe, we might just talk about a bit more about Smart Projector in the home office.
Yes.
And then transitioning into the entertainment room. I think we sort of got to touch on the portability factor of the Smart Projector.
Yeah, so super small format. So as far as footprint goes, it's quite a small device, really light as well. So this doesn't have to be have to have a permanent space in your home or your living room, for instance. It's easy to pick up and pack up if you're using it on sort of a more limited basis or a more sporadic basis as well. So it's ideal for that. It's even ideal for traveling as well. So even from like a field representative point of view or a traveling salesperson point of view, it's easy for them to take it around with them and bring their meeting space and that technology with them on the run as well. So it's a great little device for that. As far as home entertainment goes, like I mentioned before, because the footprint of the device is so small, it's easy just to pick up and pack away when you're not using it for that purpose and free up that real estate in your own home too. And you noticed before on that PowerPoint slide where we had it set up as that home meeting space, essentially that home office space. It's really easy to set up with limited room as well, particularly with our short throw model too. The throw distance on that is quite small, and so you can just have that really close to a blank wall as such, and still get a really good projection out of it, and then and then it can cater for all those home office needs as well.
So essentially, Joe, I mean, you pretty much have a power cord wherever you want to plug it in.
That's it,
and that's all you need.
Yeah.
So we've got the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth built in.
Well, the thing is too, I'm actually hotspotting our smart projector at the moment, so you don't even need a landline connectivity as far as internet goes. You can just hotspot your phone to have that internet connectivity and then access your cloud drives there as well. So it really is a holistic approach, and it has all those solutions and all those needs covered just within the one device. And like you said, Dan, realistically, all you really need is the power cable with the projector, and you're good to go to use it for a wide variety of environments. Not just a corporate meeting space, but your home office, and then even your home entertainment as well. With that ability to sideload those apps, you can pretty much utilize it how you feel like, how you see. And like I mentioned, this is an EH600 model, so we have full high definition picture quality as well. So it's great for video watching or multimedia watching as well.
That's right.
All right. Is there any other comments there at all?
Nothing else.
Pretty good.
Nothing else coming up. We haven't. Everyone's been pretty quiet. I mean, feel free to throw your microphone on, guys, if you want to jump in and ask a question. I'll be uploading this webinar to our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to go back and watch it. I'll also make available the presentation that Jai went through. So if you guys want to go through all that again, and if you want to contact us to ask any further questions later on, please don't hesitate to speak to one of your BenQ representatives.
Yeah,
whether it be me, Jai, the sales guys in each state, Yurak, Jerry, Kieran, or Joy. There's another session tomorrow.
Yes.
So feel free, guys, if you'd like to come in and you thought you wanted to speak to us sort of face to face again.
Well, yeah, it might marinate for a while overnight, for example. And if you have any more questions, feel free. Like Dan mentioned, you can reach out to us via email or phone, or if you want to jump in the session tomorrow and ask those questions, so we can actually run through those scenarios, or if there's certain file types you want to look at, or whatever it is, we can try and cater for that tomorrow in the Q&A then as well.
One thing we didn't do was have a look at Office files.
Oh yeah, so
maybe we'll just quickly
have let's have a look at that as well. So I'm just going to share my screen again here really quickly, and I mentioned you can pull your own files from your cloud drives here, but we spoke a lot about just plug it in a USB drive, and I've got one there, and I can simply open up like PowerPoint files, for instance, here, and those will jump up straight away. This is used in our WPS program. You can see here it just works like a normal PowerPoint file would, essentially. And we can play through that in full screen, or we can just use it in the sort of edit option here as well, and we can actually edit this PowerPoint file here as well. And you'll be able to do that as well with Word files, open up PDF documents, that kind of thing also. So yeah, lots of connectivity options there for you for sure. Any questions there, guys? Feel free to sing out in chat, or you're more than welcome to obviously type them in the chat there as well.
There's one guy that came through from Matt, and he was asking about navigating PowerPoints with the included remote control.
Yes, so you can do that with the included remote control. I think it's easier to do it with keyboard and mouse, obviously. But if I open up document again, let me just bounce in here, and I might try and share that screen with you again. Just bear with me. All right, so I'll stop sharing here. It's going to be a little bit hard for you guys to see, but you can definitely do that with the remote. It has arrow buttons. We might swap over to the camera again here, Dan, actually, and share that instead. So standard remote is just down here. So you can see that this is made specifically for the Smart Projector range, and you can see that we have arrow buttons there. So you can use this as a presenting tool as well. So I'll open up my document here really quickly. They'll load up. So I'm just using the remote control here to obviously navigate through here if I was presenting. We can obviously do this in full screen as well. So I can just change that to full screen. So if you just
take off my finger.
Yeah, take off your finger. You see I'm just navigating with the arrow buttons here as well. So really easy to use that as like a presenting tool. Usually you buy one of those separately to navigate from your laptop, or we can use the remote supplied, or if we download the BenQ app as well, we'd be able to use that on our own mobile device to navigate through here, especially with that presentation format. So good question, Matt. Yeah, definitely you can use the built-in remote. You can use the BenQ remote app for your mobile device to do that as well, which is really
another
handy.
one that Matt just had an extension on that question. Does it have a laser pointer built into the remote?
That's a really good question. Does it have a laser pointer built into there? I believe it does. So
it does.
It's going to be a little bit hard to see. We will try to show this. So back to the screen there, and it just has a laser. I don't know if you can pick that up. It might be a little bit hard to see there, but it does actually have a laser pointer built into the remote itself, just like a normal presentation tool. So you can see the little laser button there, right dead center. There just says laser on it, and yeah, that'll give me a laser pointer on there. So great for presenting once again. So thank you very much, Matt, for that question.
That's it. Good one. Simon says, are you able to connect the camera, i.e. Logitech Meetup, to do a face-to-face meeting?
Well,
very good question.
I haven't actually tried the Meetup as such, but what I can do here, let me just jump back into my Zoom, guys, really quickly, and I'll show you what we can do there. So we've actually got a webcam plugged in to this. So let me just share my camera from here on the projector so you guys can see what's going on. Open up Zoom again. And now, so we've appeared here. I'm going to pin this so you guys can see. So I've just spotlighted that video. So we'll join with audio later, but you can see us there. So that's coming from our EH600 projector. It's plugged in via USB into our USB hub, obviously there. But yeah, really good image. This is a Logitech Brio camera that we're currently using. I haven't tested the meetup, but I can't imagine it would be any different because it's just USB plug and play there. So yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say there that yeah, you can definitely plug in your own USB camera and use that in conjunction with your video conferencing solution as well.
Another thing to point out, Jai, is that all our peripherals are working very well with the USB hub.
Yeah. So one thing to note, we do actually have this USB hub powered by our external power cable, obviously, but power was being supplied to it from the projector itself. So for smaller hubs, maybe 4-port hubs or something like that, it may be okay to run it directly off the panel, but I think this off the projector, I should say. But I think the safest bet is to actually have a powered USB hub that you connect to its own power source to make sure that there's no fluctuations there as far as connectivity. So yeah.
Exactly. Matt mentioned Brio and Meetup, same.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to say any USB camera should work. I mean, on our panels, we've tested Microsoft and Logitech with no issues. So those commonly used cameras, you shouldn't run into too many issues with it. I literally just plug this one in and it works straight away. And that's the beauty of that Android operating system that is enabling us to do that.
He also mentions, can we hook up an external Bluetooth speaker?
Yeah, so if you want to do that, so that Wi-Fi adapter we showed you previously is actually Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capable. So yeah, you'd be able to connect that for your audio device as well. So if you got a little portable speaker there and you want to utilize that, you can definitely connect that as well. Or like we showed with that physical connectivity, you could just connect it via 3.5mm audio cable as well.
And thank you to Paul for coming into the chat as well. He just mentioned you can just add a USB wireless presenter remote to control PowerPoint slides as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So rather than using our own remote, if you have an existing presenting tool that you'd like to use, obviously you can just plug in that receiver into one of the USB ports and utilize that external peripheral too.
Right. So while we wait for maybe a couple more questions coming in, we can talk about a couple of the scenarios, I suppose. Go back to our scenarios, our in-meeting scenario, our home office, and then our entertainment. So we touched on how small of a footprint that the projector is. So essentially, because of the connectivity of the wireless connectivity, pretty much using the power cable wherever you would like to use the projector. So
essentially,
it's connected. It remembers the network.
Yep.
So if it's in a home office and then moving to the entertainment space, you're just swapping the power cable.
Yeah, you're just unplugging it and plugging it in where you see fit. It works just like any other Android device where it will remember your network connectivity or your network connections, I should say. So you don't have to worry about inputting those passwords or selecting the correct network there if you're in the same environment. So really easy. When I say side loading, what does that mean? Can I download apps but not through the App Store? That's right. So as far as Google's concerned, they only support smaller format devices rather than large display format devices. So what I mean by that is that any Android panel, not just BenQ, but any Android IFPs, for instance, won't have access to the Google Play Store. And it makes sense. Those apps or those app developers design those apps specifically for smaller devices like mobile phones or like tablets. And so they're not supported from a technical point of view. And because of that, Google hasn't granted access to their traditional Google Play Store, which a lot of people are used to on those Android devices. But the way we can sort of circumnavigate that or give people another option is to sideload. And what that means is that you can download applications from websites that do that, like APK Pure, for instance, and download those onto a USB drive and insert that USB drive into your Smart Projector and load those apps or install those apps onto the projector natively so they'll run on that Android operating system. And once DMS Cloud becomes available in Q3, you'll actually be able to do that remotely as well. So rather than downloading onto a USB drive and plugging it in, you'll be able to send and install those via the cloud, essentially. The other way you can do that, obviously, is install an APK app on the actual projector, like APK Pure, or navigate on your browser natively as well and download those directly to the projector itself. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can get your hands on those apps and install them onto the projector as well.
Another one from Matt. Do these projectors use globes, LED, laser, and what is the lamp life?
So it is, well, I think you've answered your own question there. So they do run on lamps there. As far as hours go, let me have a quick look. That escapes me for now, but let me have a quick look into that. I'll see if I've got lamp life here. Paul, you may have the figures there as well to get an idea there. It's a good question,
so
Matt.
I'll give you that. Those specs.
So depending on the mode, obviously, as well.
So we've got 5,000 hours in normal mode, or we've got 10,000 hours in economic mode.
There you go.
That's for the EH600.
Cool. So it's going to vary between models, and it's going to vary depending on what display mode you have selected there as well. Paul's just going to double check that, but yeah, I think that should be around the right amount of hours there as well. Any other questions there, guys?
See if we've got hopefully a couple of more questions. Matt has been very active in the chat today. We've got to thank him.
Yeah, thank you, Matt,
for coming in and
for putting us on the spot.
Putting us on the spot.
I really appreciate that.
And yeah, making sure we're doing our job right. Pleasure. He says a pleasure. So I think it's always been a pleasure.
Okay, so Paul's just commented there. So like Dan mentioned, for normal mode around 5,000 hours, economic at 10,000, smart eco at 15,000, and then lamp save around the same as well. So there you go. Any other questions there, guys, at all? Simon, can you use a wireless keyboard and mouse, or does it have to be hardwired? So we have hardwired, but obviously you can just plug in your wireless USB dongle there to the rear of the projector, or if you're using a USB hub, and that'll work just the same, mate. So no dramas there.
Or a Bluetooth?
Yeah, you can use Bluetooth. I think Wi-Fi is a little bit has a little bit of a stronger connection there rather than a Bluetooth mouse. But yeah, either or for sure.
As far as peripherals go, I mean, Paul mentioned before about the presenter.
Yes.
Presenter. There's you got your keyboard, your mouse. I mean, is there anything else that you can think of you might want to plug in there? You got USB stick, USB.
Yeah, I think we've covered the majority of peripherals that you'd want to plug in there as well. In regard to that, so yeah, any of those presenting tools, keyboard, mouse, the same with any external speakers that you want to connect. You can just connect those into the audio inputs there as well.
Yeah, I suppose the key there is the PC-less. So however you would probably use a PC as far as peripherals, it's probably going to be working on the Smart Projector as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are familiar with the IFP range, it pretty much carries over the connectivity that we see on that range as well to our Smart Projector.
Got one more.
Paul, use a USB dongle is normally more preferred. Yeah, exactly, Paul. So you could use Bluetooth and keyboard and mouse for really strong connectivity. Obviously hardwiring, but depending on when you have your projector mounted, that may be an impossible kind of thing. So yeah, I think wireless with a dedicated receiver there is probably the way to go.
And one more thing to add, I suppose, about brightness for this particular model. Not just the 600, but the 800. It is high brightness. So if you're in a ambient lit environment, obviously where we are right now it's very lit. We've got spotlights happening as well. But home office scenario, even if it's daytime in your entertainment room at home, this type of brightness will cut through that ambient light, and it still looks very, very bright.
Yeah, I mean, this room we're in at the moment is super bright, and it's a little bit hard to tell when we sort of try and share a live stream of pointing that at the projector screen as well. It can look a lot more washed out than it actually is. So I guess seeing is believing in real time. So being able to have a look at one of these projectors in different kinds of environments, it's a little bit hard to see over video conferencing, obviously, but it does a pretty good job in brightly lit environments as well. Like even for us here, it's a pretty good image quality as far as we're concerned, punching through a really brightly lit room here as well.
Simon came back with another question. Does the projector support PJ link protocol?
That's interesting. So Paul, you might want to comment on this one. Off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure with that. I believe it may. we can have a quick look. Let me just have a quick look here. Yeah, it's a very good question.
Paul got back. Yes, it's a good question. Normally it should, but let me double check too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I think a lot of our projectors support that kind of protocol, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm just trying to rapidly look through my document here to see if we've got that listed as an option. And I can't see it here. Let me keep scrolling. Give me 2 seconds, guys, and I'll look into that for you. Any other questions popping up there while I'm searching for this?
No,
all
no
quiet
more
on
questions.
the Western Front.
It all seems very quiet. As long as Matt hasn't left the chat yet, that's the main thing. No, he's still. Yep, he's confirmed he's still there. So that's
still
great.
there. Okay, that's good.
He's still there.
Hasn't fallen asleep yet. All right.
Joy's.
I don't have it here. We'll have to wait for Paul to come back to us. Sorry about that, guys. So just so you guys know, I didn't introduce Paul at the start of this this webinar, but Paul is our contact in Taiwan. He's basically the guy that I ask the questions to when I don't have the information. So he looks after all the field application engineers in the BQP or the Asia Pacific region, essentially. So he's just jumped in here today. He was in our webinar yesterday as well. Really great contact to have. So if you guys have any of those kind of tricky questions or kind of abstract questions and I don't know the answer, Paul is definitely the man who I contact first and foremost to try and get that information there as well. But we'll just wait for Paul to get back to us. He's probably checking with one of his colleagues there. Information here tells me E800 series has PJ link. So let's just dedicate that to E800 currently. We can confirm later on there for you, Simon, about E600 series. Thanks for that, Paul. Appreciate that input.
And going back to Paul again, he'll be more present in our future webinars coming up. We'll have some webinars on the CP series, interactive flat panel. We'll have a few other sort of exciting new things coming up, and these guys will be a lot more present for us, and it gives the end user a good chance to ask these types of questions and have a connection between our head office and then find out what's going on and getting an update from.
Yeah, that's great. That's one of the great things about BenQ is that we can always relay feedback back to our head office in Taiwan as well. And so if you guys have any input about improving features or features you'd like to see, and not just dedicated to Smart Projector, but our IFP range, digital signage, or our projector range outside of the Smart series, always feel welcome and free to contact one of our representatives. And we're able to feed that back through and try and make those changes and future updates if possible as well. So Paul's just gone back to us here. E600 should have it. No reason that it shouldn't. That does not make sense to me. I will need to check. Yeah, so we're just going to confirm about the E600 series, and we'll get our representatives to get back in touch with anyone who's joined this webinar today to confirm that for you guys as well. Thank you for that, Paul. But if there's no other questions there, guys, we might wrap it up. I know we're approaching the 1 hour mark, so this is, I've spoken enough, I think, about the Smart Projector range. We are really excited about it. There's not a lot of, it's quite a new category just to the industry in general here. And we're pretty proud to be the front runners with Smart Projectors. Not just here in Australia, but across the world as well. So watch this space. Like I said, we're constantly updating our products, and we're able to do that with our Smart Projector range via over-the-air updates. And we've already seen that come to light with normalizing that interface across all our projector range. And once we get DMS Cloud accessible as well, you'll see an update on your Smart Projectors there as well, being able to access that feature. So stay tuned, watch this space, and we'll be in touch really shortly with new updates to this Smart E-Series range. But thanks again for your time. I really do appreciate it. Ed has come back. So E800 has PJ link, but E600 doesn't. So there we go. So that's confirmed there, guys. But thanks a lot for your time. Really appreciate you joining. We'll be hosting these webinars on our other products too. So if you're interested in that, I think we have a CP series training session coming up next week.
Yes, for channel partners next week.
Yeah.
End users, we will have some corporate solution, really new, good, sort of effective content on corporate solutions coming up, based around the CP series interactive flat panel. Just before we go, Ed Ed, who is a colleague of Paul. I don't know if you want to introduce Ed as well, but he's come back and said E600 doesn't have a LAN port, so therefore doesn't have PJ Link.
Fantastic.
So
thanks for clarifying that. That makes perfect sense,
Ed.
Ed is also the man that I speak to when I have any issues with any of the tech-related stuff as well.
Technically, all the heavy hitters in the webinar
that's
today
right.
from Taiwan, which is great.
Thank you very much,
Ed and Paul. Support, guys.
That's great.
And just to finish off, apologies from my side for the technical difficulties there. A bit of the thumb over the camera action there, but I'll be getting back to everybody who registered for the webinar with recording of the session, some marketing material, and just sort of a bit of a follow-up on Smart Projector, and then what's happening in the future as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that, mate. And thank you to Dan for giving us a hand today. And once again to Paul and Ed there for helping out with the tech-related stuff. We really appreciate your input there. And thank you all for joining. I know your time is very precious at the moment. There's a lot going on in the world and in our industry. So once again, thank you for joining. And I look forward to catching up with you guys, hopefully in real time, real soon. But yeah, stay tuned. We'll be contacting or putting out info on our social media as well, LinkedIn and the likes, about upcoming webinars as well. So keep an eye on that space too. But thanks a lot and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Cheers, guys.
See you guys.